What's up, guys? Flowforge. Let's hop into it. Today, I want to talk about. I kind of want to talk about sequential, like what you actually need to do in order to become more productive and momentum. So, when you have ADHD, this is you. Here's Zen. Call him Zen. It's our little guy. He has ADHD. So many of you are probably running into this problem where, at this point, you kind of understand that ADHD focus is essentially binary. It's either on or off, and there's almost no in between, it feels like. Well, the reason that there's no in between is probably because you're not managing your momentum well enough. And it's a skill. You have to learn how to do this. So I'm going to teach you how. And the way that you manage your momentum more well, let's break this down first. So why do you need to manage your momentum? Well, because ADHD, you require more stimulation, right? And so it can even, and stimulation can be stress, by the way. Your brain just cares that there's stimulation. And if there's no stimulation, it's not going to do anything. So you always, and when it encounters stimulation, it wants more. So what tends to happen is here's you are working hard and you get stimulation for doing hard work and you feel awesome. You're feeling competitive, you're feeling like an athlete, you're feeling like you're him, you're locked in, right? And so your brain is like, okay, cool, let's keep going and add more and more and more. And then eventually what happens is poor Zen here, he doesn't even notice it and he burns out. And he just loses all momentum and bam, he's crashed. And now his brain doesn't want to do anything, right? And that's a problem. And the reason that that happens is because while a neurotypical can just get things done at an easy standard pace, for old Zen here, the stimulation will cause him to rapidly rise. And that's problematic. It can be problematic. So the way I like to think about it is when you have ADHD, some people, I forget the doctor who said it, but he talks about having ADHD as like being a Ferari. I don't really think that's true. I think a better analogy is a semi. It takes you longer to start up and longer to slow down. And if you try to switch tasks rapidly, like ADHD is a disorder that basically affects your ability to manage your attention. It's not that you have poor attention span or whatever, it's you have a hard time managing your attention, okay? And you need more stimulation than the average person. So task switching, which by the way is already very exhausting for normal people. There's no such thing as multitasking. If you're task switching back and forth constantly, you're going to be burnt out and you're not going to get anything done. And that's not what focus looks like. And focus is what actually gets things. Focus is follow one course until completion. I want you to write that down. Follow one course until completion. Okay? Follow one course until completion. So, task switching is more exhausting for people with ADHD, but we're better at focusing once we actually get into the focus. But in order to get focused, you need stimulation. Okay? So, how do we combat this? How do we fix this? We know that it takes some stimulation to get started, and we want more stimulation, so we're likely to run away. How do we fix this? You have to get good at managing your momentum, and the way that you do this is by, I'm going to give you a protocol here. So the protocol is, you can think of it as like the semi again. You can't go into top gear when you have no momentum. That's not how it works. You have to go into first gear, then second gear, then third gear. And likewise, if you're in fifth gear here, you need to go, if you want to go down, you have to go into fourth gear, third gear, second gear, first gear, right? That's basically how it works. If you try and relax after a really intense workflow, it's not going to work, really. It might if you're exhausted, but it's probably not really going to work. You're going to have like an anxious and zappity mind, you know? So if you struggle with procrastination or you feel like you suck at starting work, the reason is probably because you're trying to do too much at once. And your brain has this almost justified false belief where it's like, nah, he ain't going to do that. And it just doesn't believe you. It doesn't trust you. It's like, this guy's tripping. He thinks he's going to like enter a deep flow session after he hasn't done anything for a week. Like, no, he's tripping, you know? So of course your brain believes that. Of course your brain is like, no, you're not doing that, bud. And it's not going to get behind. It's not going to be a part of the effort. It's not going to back you. So what you need to do is go to first gear, second gear, third gear. And the way you do that is by picking picking tasks for the energy level that you're currently at or the energy level you want to be in, if you know that you can get there. So what I mean by that is, let's say Zen here is like slobbed out on the couch. He's like totally just chillaxing. He's eating pizza. He's got a beer or something. Like he's not moving. He's like, I need to do something. I need to start doing stuff. I need to gain momentum. So what is he going to do? If he tries and jumps into a deep flow session immediately, it's not going to work. It's just not going to go very well. I mean, it might. There's the chance that it could. But a better strategy for him, if he's feeling like so sluggish he doesn't even want to move, is to try something light first. Like maybe Zen is like, okay, I will get up and I will clean the couch. And that's the first thing he does. And then he's got a little bit more momentum. And he's like, okay, now I will wash the dishes. And then he has a little bit more momentum. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to go do a deep flow session. And then by that time, it's like no problem. And he's at his computer, just completely locked in. And he's already gotten all the extensions that block all the things because he knows he has ADHD and he's going to get distracted if he doesn't. And his digital environment works for him, not against him, because he watches my videos. So that's what's up. Zen's got it good. See, he had to follow a process though. And now let's say when Zen is ready to stop, maybe instead of just stopping entirely, let's say Zen is, and you can just stop entirely. Like there's nothing really stopping you doing that. But if you stop entirely, you're more likely to start scrolling on YouTube or to start playing video games because you haven't lost enough momentum. So if Zen were to try and do absolutely nothing now, it probably wouldn't work. It might work, but a better option for Zen would be to, okay, let me go do some miscellaneous tasks. Like, let me go play with my dog. And then Zen thinks, okay, I'm pretty chill now, let me read. Normally his brain wouldn't even let him read. Like, normally his brain would be like, this is way too damn boring, we're not doing this. But because he's slowed down enough, he's reading. Look at him, he's an educated individual. He's got all the knowledge at his fingertips. And eventually Zen goes to sleep and he gets an actually healthy amount of sleep because he's kind of tuckered out from the day and he's healthy. He's getting good sleep, which ADHD affects your sleep a lot, and your sleep is very important for cognition. So optimizing for better sleep is good, which, by the way, when you have ADHD, you typically have a faster circadian rhythm than other people. So it is completely normal and healthy for you to go to sleep later than normal people and wake up later than normal people. And if you're trying to fit yourself into a box where that's not how you work, of course you're going to feel like it's not working for you. So understand that it's okay to go to sleep a little later and wake up a little later. It's okay. That's normal for your brain and body. That's healthy for Zen. So that's the protocol. But now, to avoid burnout, right? To avoid this, let's say Zen has been crushing it in deep flow sessions every day. And let's say Zen is like really into work. He's really, really proud of himself. But he's working very, very hard. He's forgetting to eat. This can be a sign. It's not necessarily a huge red flag, but this can be a sign. He's forgetting to eat. He's not spending as much time with people as he probably should be. He's not really doing anything other than working at this point. Like, he's gained that much momentum. And Zen doesn't realize it. He doesn't realize it yet, but he's acting kind of weird. Like if he talks to other people, they would notice. Like, Zen, you seem off, right? So what's happening is Zen has gained so much momentum that parts of his brain have basically shut off, and like very, I don't know, I guess you could say like competitive driven dopaminergic parts are on, and they're staying on because he's not slowing down. The way you can tell if you're close to burnout is if you feel like you leave to go do something and it, like if you try to pull yourself away from work and you're like itching to get back to work, that's when Zen knows, oh shoot, I might be approaching burnout. And if it happens, it's going to be pretty bad because it's going to just like huge, and then he's going to like crash, right? And you don't want that. If this does happen, it's very easy to get out. It doesn't take that long. It can if you're not used to it, but essentially you just understand momentum and then gain momentum very slowly, where it's like take a day off, then the next day do something kind of productive, the next day do something a little bit more productive, and soon enough, within 3 days, you should be back to being able to crush it, right? It's not that bad. But what he can do to make sure that this doesn't happen, and what he can also do when he's feeling a little bit like tired in his workflow, which is also a sign that you need to slow down, is just switching the music to something more chill and entering what I like to call a chill workflow. So you have an intense workflow, which is good and gets a lot of stuff done, and your ADHD brain loves this. Like it craves this. But if you have been doing this and you're approaching burnout, your brain will appreciate the slow, relaxed pace and you will be able to handle it and it'll be fine. Like this is generally better to do, but you need this or this will collapse. Like it will not be sustainable. Okay? And the way that you have a chill workflow is you have to make your workflow kind of aesthetic. Is the way that works for me because that's dopaminergic. I find that if things are pretty, I'm much more likely to engage with them and really enjoy with them, and it's much more dopaminergic, which is why I use Linux, because I can theme everything on Linux. And if you want to learn how to use Linux for productivity, you want to learn how to make your computer truly yours, I offer coaching for how to do this, how to create scripts, become a power user, use hotkeys, things like that. That's $100 a session. So that's there if you want it. Now, making things aesthetic can help a little bit. Another thing that can help is reframing things in your mind to be a little bit more like a movie or a little bit more aesthetic. So instead of thinking to yourself like, oh, let's say you're a student. Instead of thinking like, oh, I'm a student, I got to do this work, it sucks, this is crap. You try to romanticize what being a student actually is. And you're like, instead of it, you're like, yeah, I got these productivity apps and I watch Flowforge's videos and I kind of know what I'm doing and I'm serious about this and my desk's all pretty, my digital environment's all pretty, I got the extensions installed, like I got everything going for me, right? And he kind of has this identity, which your behavior stems from your identity. So this is aside from productivity, but also related to productivity, is if you are doing something that you don't like, the reason why is because you believe that you are a person who does that thing. And if you change that belief, you will stop doing that thing. I guarantee it. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes discipline, but you just have to, it's way less discipline than trying to stop yourself. You cannot change yourself. You cannot force yourself to change. What you can do is you can start believing that this isn't really you. And when you believe that it isn't really you, you won't tolerate it anymore after you actually gain that perspective. So if you want to stop doing things, start believing that you're not that person, or you're the person who would do the exact opposite. Okay? There you go. Life tip. Hopefully that solves something for you. Now, Zen has romanticized being a student and being productive and learning the skill of productivity, which is why he watches my videos every day. Now, Zen here, since he's done that, and since he's kind of made things pretty, his whole system of working in productivity has created a feedback loop where it empowers his aesthetic identity, which is dopaminergic, which is stimulating, which allows him to not be as intense. It means that he can sort of chill out and just enjoy life and enjoy being himself. And he feels more confident and he feels happier because he has something that's constantly affirming his identity, which is really the main desire of humans. Anything that you do is essentially you're doing it because you want to affirm your identity, essentially. And if you're doing things that you don't like, it's because there's parts of you that do want those things and you're holding them back and you're not recognizing them and you're not treating them with healthy alternatives. Okay? So, in fact, I'll give you this little insight that I realized. Like, most of the bad things that I have done in my life, and most of the things that I really regret doing, I basically did them upon self-reflection out of boredom. And you might be the same way. Because when you have ADHD, you need more stimulation, but you also can't really handle that stimulation. So it creates this kind of curse that you live in where you have to be aware of that and just understand that you are prone to taking it too far while at the same time not being enough. So you need to be mature and understand where you are. And it's a discipline that you have to build. Okay? And you also need to just be flexible and understand your disorder. That's a problem that a lot of us have, is we don't even understand the disorder. Like the sleeping quirk, you may have never known about that. And that's something that like affects your life so much, and you just didn't know. And it's because we have this bad cultural stigma that ADHD sort of isn't real or is just like some weird thing that you grow out of, but it's not. If you look at the brain scans of an individual with ADHD, they're wired completely differently, just like autism. It's genetic, okay? You don't just stop having ADHD. You might train your executive functions enough to almost seem normal, but you're probably masking, and you are probably have created your own systems and coping mechanisms in order to feel more normal and to fit in, okay? But I guarantee that if you just learned about your disorder and then strategized from the point of knowing about it, that your life would be much, 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 much easier, okay? So try learning about ADHD. My channel isn't specifically to teach you about ADHD. It's more about how to teach you about how to manage it. So go out there and look for that stuff. And if you want more videos explaining ADHD, let me know in the comments. And I can try and make more videos about that. So, Zen now knows how to manage momentum. He knows how to enter a chill workflow, which the answer is basically changing the music to something more chill, maybe doing some side questy type stuff, or doing the main thing, which is the needle mover, and just working on that, but it's in a more chill atmosphere, more chill state. Just kind of like let the time flow by and stop worrying so much, stop being stressed. You have to have beliefs that things are going to work out, because if you don't believe that whatever you're going to do is going to work, you could have a false belief system where you're thinking, man, it's not going to work, I can never do it, I'm just like this. And because you never actually try, you never find out that, yeah, maybe that's true 40% of the time, but then most of the time it just works. You have to just get into, it's a skill of, I call it like immediate execution. So you just need to get into the habit of, as soon as you think about something, act upon it. If you can't act upon it, write it down to get it out of your head so your brain stops worrying about it. And just start doing things immediately, gaining momentum immediately. And I guarantee that if you have the perspective of managing momentum and your energy, you're going to be a lot better. So that's another thing, is if you're kind of tired, you're not burnt out, but you're kind of tired, go ahead and switch into a chill workflow. That's good, and it will help you to maintain good productivity. You'll be healthier, you'll be happier, and you will be flowing. All right. That's all I got today, guys. If you'd like to be mentored by me, it's $50 a session, and I teach you all this stuff. My main obsession and focus in life is ADHD productivity. So it's a skill, it's a discipline, and you have to submit to the process if you want to learn this. So if you want to accelerate that a little bit, just let me know in the comments, and I'll reach out to you. Also, we have a Discord community now where you can meet up with other people with ADHD who are focused on productivity. And we'll just be there, and I'll be there, and we'll be sharing tips and optimizations and scripts and all these things to help you find your productivity, help you find your flow. All right, guys, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this. Share it with somebody who may need it. That's all. Peace.